These expertly colorized photographs show the war machines of the Second World War like they've never been seen before. The tanks that fought epic duels in the North African desert, among European towns, and in the jungles of Asia have been brought stunningly to life. Fascinating pictures show a British commander and Indian crew in a Sherman tank as they encounter an elephant in Burma, a French Army Sherman landing on Normandy beach, and an American M10 tank firing near the Saint Lo. Other incredible shots show American tank destroyers moving forward during heavy fog to stem the German offensive during the Battle of the Bulge, a German Tiger tank driving at speed, and Sherman tanks carrying infantry at the start of Operation Goodwood in Normandy. The old photographs were brought back to life after being painstakingly colorized by design engineer Paul Reynolds, 48, from Birmingham. He said, "I don't really have a message to convey, the content of the photo does that, however I am glad that by colorizing these photos more people are aware of the happenings of World War I and World War II. The M4 Sherman, officially named the medium tank M4, was the most widely used medium tank by the United States and the Western Allies in the Second World War. The M4 Sherman proved to be reliable, relatively cheap to produce, and possible to create in great numbers. Pictured above is a British Army Sherman during the campaign to liberate Normandy in 1944. These old photographs have been brought back to life after being painstakingly colorized by design engineer Paul Reynolds, 48, from Birmingham. He explained his motivation. "I think colorizing detailed photos really brings them to life. You notice detail that usually get missed due to the monotone background. The tanks that fought epic duels in the North African desert, among European towns, and in the jungles of Asia have been brought stunningly to life." This 1943 photograph shows Field Marshal Bernard Montgomery, leader of British Army forces during the campaign to chase the Nazis out of North Africa, standing by a camouflaged M3 tank. The American tanks, first built in 1941, were named after General Robert E. Lee, the man who commanded the Confederate forces in the American Civil War. But when modified by the British, they were known as Grants, named after the Union General Ulysses S. Grant. British Lees and Grants first saw action against Nazi General Erwin Rommel in the Battle of Gazala, Libya in 1942. The Axis forces defeated the Allies. The British commander and Indian crew of a Sherman tank from the 9th Royal Deccan Horse, 255th Indian Tank Brigade, encounter a newly liberated elephant on the road to Mandalay-Led, Burma on March 29, 1945. The Burma campaign, which sought to clear the Japanese out of South Asia, was brought close to its conclusion after victories at the Battle of Mandalay-Led and Mandalay. Led by Field Marshal William Slim, the Allies defeated the Japanese after winning air supremacy, and went on to seize the Burmese capital, Rangoon. colorizer Paul Reynolds explained his motivation for bringing such photographs to life. "I colorize these photos to bring our past to a new generation of people. Many of my colorizations on my Facebook page get viewed by tens of thousands of people, many from the 16 to 24 age group. Pictured: an M36 Jackson tank destroyer during the Battle of the Bulge." But American soldiers who operated the tank often named it simply TD, the initials for tank destroyer. At the time of the Battle of the Bulge, the last major offensive by the Germans during the Second World War, there were several hundred in operation. The battle, which followed a surprise attack by the Nazis in the Ardennes forest region of Belgium and Luxembourg, featured vicious tank duels between the Allies and Germans amid the freezing cold winter of 1944–1945. In mid-January, however, it was clear the Allies had won, and that the offensive had been a disaster for the Nazis. A Matilda II tank of the 7th Royal Tank Regiment in the Western Desert, 19 December 1940. The Matilda II was an infantry tank designed to support troops as they came under heavy fire, designed in 1937, and used between 1939 and 1945. The tanks were heavily armoured, but, as a consequence, very slow. Unlike other tanks, they were not adept at pushing quickly behind enemy lines and seizing territory. But there were still 2,987 of the tanks built, many of which being deployed in North Africa.